Hey guys, I'm Jacob, and I clean up crime scenes and hoarder homes and all the other nasty biohazard stuff you can possibly imagine. And today I'm going to talk about 10 of probably the most frequently asked questions I've ever received from you guys on this channel. So number one, starting off strong here, we got, what is the saddest death cleanup you've ever had to clean? So one of the jobs I can just never get out of my head for some reason is basically one where I had to respond to vehicular manslaughter of someone who could be no older than 10. What sucks about this is that it was at an apartment complex with speed bumps and everything, so you think your kids would be safe, but cars can still drive too fast, you know? I remember it was raining that morning when we arrived, and that washed pretty much all the biohazards of the speed bump away. So when we got there, we pretty much just spent like 20 or so minutes just scrubbing down and disinfecting the speed bump and the street around it. So we didn't even charge them for anything because of that, because that just doesn't make any sense, you know? All right, so now that we got that done, let's go on to number two. What's the most difficult crime scene cleanup you've ever had to do? All right, let me think. So I would say the most difficult one I remember doing was one that probably took us about 6 days total from beginning to end. This was a situation where basically the deceased had been left in there for about 2 to 3 weeks before it was discovered. Anyway, it was absolutely brutal because so many bodily fluids had spilled out onto the floor, sneaking into basically every layer of the ground all the way down to below the subfloor and onto the supporting beams of the house. The odor was so pungent, it even got onto the walls, which we not only had to scrub down completely, but also paint with an odor sealant. We went through probably 10 gallons of this stuff called kills, which is kind of ironic if you think about it. Okay, number three is, what did you do before Scrub Daddy was released for cleaning? So Scrub Daddies are pretty goated. No one can deny that. I even got my own little sad daddy for the death cleanups I do. Pretty epic. But before Scrub Daddies were on the scene, we were using basic mid-level sponge garbage. And honestly, I want to vomit just thinking about it. And I clean up shit for a living, so that's saying something. Anyway, number four, what's the most you've ever gotten paid from a single cleanup? So death cleaning and hoarding cleanup can be a really lucrative business, but back when I was an employee, I got paid hourly at like 20 bucks an hour in my city. So the most I got paid then in a day was because someone tipped us like $300, and it was at the end of a really tough project that took like 5 days to complete and 5 40-yard dumpsters. So it was a lot of work, and we were really appreciative that, you know, they rewarded us for that. But tips are honestly surprisingly rare to come by for biohazard cleaners, at least. You would think if someone's in your home with a full body hazmat suit scooping up your own garbage, you would think to give them a little something extra as a thank you. Or maybe not, I don't know, because it's not like you would tip a plumber for fixing your toilet or a roofer for fixing your, I don't know, roof tiles. But anyway, number five, have you ever seen a dead body while cleaning or anything dead in general? So people often confuse my job as a crime scene cleaner with that of medical coroners. These guys are actually the ones that deal with the deceased alongside the funeral home personnel. Personally, I couldn't imagine doing what those guys do. That seems crazy to me. Like, they're actually going to these scenes picking up the dead bodies. Like, could you imagine picking up like a rotting corpse that's been decomposing for 3 weeks and just be fine? I don't understand that. All right, number six, how do people find out about your services? So for death cleanup and hoarding cleanup specifically, most people find out about that sort of thing through Google searches and or referrals by police officers. I don't work for any specific company right now because I'm kind of jumping around the nation filming these free home cleanups for people. But eventually I hope to build a website where people can actually find emergency trauma scene cleaning services from the companies I've worked with. So that's what I'm working on right now. All right, question 7. So how does one become a crime scene cleaner? First of all, why do you want to know? It is a very powerful skill set that could be used for good or evil. Just kidding, I'm sure you're not trying to work for John Wick, but the process to becoming a crime scene cleaner isn't too crazy. Either start a business and get your bloodborne pathogen training, or just apply to companies that offer that service. Obviously, you should have some hard labor experience with some related field, either construction or janitorial work, because no one's gonna wanna hire you if you don't know how to do any of those basic skill sets type of stuff. All right, number 8, what's the easiest scene you have ever cleaned? Well, this ties back into the first question quite a bit, but aside from that, I'd say this one job where, I kid you not, it was barely a drop of blood. It looked like someone had a nosebleed for like half a second, but client wants it clean and client wants to pay us, so we go through the whole disinfection process for like literally a 1 by 1 foot area. It was nuts. Have you ever cleaned a murder scene? Yes. How do we know you don't commit the murders? You don't.